What's up YouTube? Welcome to GUNMEISTER. Something I get asked from time to time is how do I stipple my pistols? And I'd like to share that with you, but before we get started, let me say this. If you're not comfortable doing this, you might not want to, because once you start, you really can't stop. But if you feel adventurous and you want to stipple your pistol, especially that one that feels like a greased banana in your hand, this video may just be for you. So come on, let's get started and I'll show you how I do it. Okay, so this is a Walther PPS that's been stippled, and you can see that the traction on here is a lot more aggressive than what's factory. And I kind of like this because, you know, when your hands get sweaty or what have you, you just have something better as far as traction and grip goes. When you stipple a gun, there's a couple of different things to think about. One, the pattern you want on here, and what I mean by that is, like for example on this PPS, it had some natural lines like this one here and these down through here that I wanted to preserve. Okay, so I didn't just stipple the whole thing. So I wanted to make a pattern that was obviously utilitarian, meaning it would give me traction, but also that didn't take away from the aesthetics of the pistol, in my opinion. And that's kind of what I did on this Walther PPS. And I feel like it's a big improvement over what was factory. This right here is another example of some stippling, and this is a Glock 23 that's been stippled. This one's had a little bit more done to it as far as like the grip right here has been recontoured to fit my hand a little bit better. But again, it's the same premise. You know, you have more traction. It just feels better in my hand, in my opinion, you know. The gun we're going to be stippling now, this is a High Point C9, and we're getting ready to do a video with this. But one thing I noticed with this gun, guys, literally, these grips are so slippery, so slick. If I was to buy cookware that was anti-stick cookware and it was this slick, I would be very happy with that. I'm not sure what they were thinking when they did this. I mean, dry. My hands are dry, the grips are dry, and this stuff is so slippery, it's unbelievable. So I want to go ahead and just stipple this. Now this one's a little bit different than like the Walther PPS or something like that because the grips are detachable. So essentially what I'm going to do is just stipple the whole grip and then just reattach it to the gun. So aside from the gun that you're wanting to stipple, there is another thing you're going to need in order to stipple a gun, and that is this. This is a wood scrolling kit. Basically it's like a soldering iron. This is the tip that I use right here on all of my stippling. It's just like a leaf. It literally just screws into the iron, and essentially I just kind of touch the gun with the tip and it makes the pattern. So let's go ahead and get this warmed up and get the grips off that High Point and get started, and I'll show you how I do it. First thing we're going to do, clear the gun. Make sure that we are clear, which we are. Remove the magazine. And for this guy, we don't really even need the gun. We just need to take the grips off. So we're going to pull the grips off of here. There's the first one. Right here. Set that screw aside. Pull off this grip. Set this screw aside. And we're just gonna set this guy aside. So here's the grips, and here's where it gets fun. On these you can see, I mean, they're very basic. There's a couple little patterns from the factory, I guess you could say, you know, here and whatever, but not really anything that I'm trying to preserve. So my goal again with the High Point grip is just maximum traction. So I'm pretty much just going to stipple this whole entire thing, except for right here inside here, obviously, in the screw hole, but all the rest of it, we're just going to stipple it up. So what I like to do is start with the exterior. You know, so you'll make a line. So for an example, you're just going to kind of go along right here and make a line. So essentially you're going to outline where you're going to be stippling. And then you stipple inside from there. So I start outside, make a line, so it looks like this. You can see where I've started that right there. And then I just go and fill in the inside of those lines. Now, one thing you don't want to do is you never want to do a repeating pattern unless you are going for that pattern. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I like to do like a circle. So I'll do like a circle like this, and then I'll fill in that circle like that. So it's always very random, and I try to keep, you know, from doing the same thing. See how I'm doing that right there? And you just keep doing that all the way through the whole stippling process. And there's really no right or wrong way to do this, guys. It's just whatever you're looking for to get out of your stippling, you know. If there's a pattern you want to put on here, like a name or a logo, you know, get a template and work with it that way. And then, so there's a little bit of that already done. It doesn't take that long. It does not take that long. You can see that stippling right there is already done. Now there's a few spots on there that are shiny. And what I do is after I do the stippling, I'll kind of go through and look for the shiny spots and just re-tap them, because that's generally a spot that you've missed if it's shiny. That's a little bit better. There you go. See? And then we're just going to continue on. So we're going to do our border, just like this. Always do the border, and then you can move along from there. And like I said, I do little circle areas because I found that the circles for me make it a little more random. And the weird thing about this is the randomness is what makes the symmetrical pattern. I'll pick this up so you can see again. See? You can see it's got some shiny areas in there, like right through here. Just kind of go through and tap the shiny spots. That way you know you're getting full coverage. You don't have anything that kind of grabs your eye when you look at the stipple. See? And already I can tell you that that traction is like night and day. Alright, so we've basically got this upper part done, and now what I want to do is just kind of go along this and outline this part so we can move along down the grip. And the outlining part, again, I can't reiterate how important the outlining is, that you take your time on that and do a nice straight line, because everything else kind of works off of the outline. So if you get it all boogered up, you know, where it's not straight, there's not much you can do with that, especially once you start filling in the blanks. So just go along, you know, take your time. So I'm going to go ahead and do around the high point logo. That, and then we'll take it back this way. Make sure that meets up cleanly. Yeah, that looks good. All right, that looks good. So we've got our outline done. All the way around the high point, around there, and like that. Now at this point, all that's left for this grip is just to fill it in. So I'm gonna go ahead and fill this in, and then after we fill this one in, we'll compare this grip to the one that hasn't been done so we can see kind of the difference. Okay, so there we go. There's our first grip, completely finished, looking good. And if if you do a comparative of the two, this is more like a sandpaper feel. You know, I'd say maybe like a 400 grit, something like that. But it's not overly aggressive. I mean, it's not going to rub you raw, but it's definitely going to give you some traction. This is just slick as could be, and that is much, much better. So on this side, guys, I'm not going to sit here and keep you tied up the whole time while I do this side, because you know what to do. You start with your outline, and then you just come along and fill in the middle. It might not be a bad idea to, if you have some plastic, just some plastic laying around, you know, like an old tackle box or something like that, do a little practice run on, you know, part of the plastic, so you can kind of see how it feels and kind of get the feel for it before you start, you know, digging too deep into doing this to your firearms. Okay, you know, and the point of this, guys, is not to doll up my high point, because that's not the intention at all, but to show you guys how I stimple, how I do it. And I'm not saying this is the best or the only way to stimple a gun, because that's not the case. This is just how I do it, and I wanted to share that with you guys. Hopefully you get a little value out of it, you know. Alright, so we got both the grips done now, and I think they look a lot better, and they feel really, really good, guys. This is very, very grippy. You're definitely going to have a lot more purchase on your pistol after the stimpling's done than you did before. And there you go. And in my opinion, I kind of like the way that looks over the factory slick grip. That's a lot better. And there you go, guys. That's how I stimple my pistols. And it's a vast improvement over those sometimes super slick grease banana grips that come on pistols. And there you go. That's how I stimple my pistols. Well, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of the GUNMEISTER. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, happy shooting. We'll see you guys next time on the GUNMEISTER.
You're not doing that around me again. Holy shit.